Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Coming up tonight on Our News, a man accused of killing his girlfriend skips bail. Police in Grand Bahama investigate an overnight murder. Members of the public outraged at a man sentenced for kissing a small child. Will a budding agriculture group grow cannabis? And Gumbay Kids wins yet another international award.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, an accused murderer is still on the run more than a year after skipping bail. Interpol is reportedly trying to track him, but the family of the woman he's accused of killing feels like the justice system has failed them.
It is very discouraging. As a matter of fact, you can't even make them do it. You have to go out and do their job. Because how is it that I have all of this information and you don't even know that he's missing?
Owen Roll has been trying to sound the alarm on Kenrick Hanna's whereabouts for nearly 18 months. Hanna is accused of killing Roll's cousin, Monet Darville, in Freeport, Grand Bahama, back in 2019.
Monet was an excellent mother. She took pride and joy in taking care of her daughter. And they spent a lot of time together.
Hanna disposed of his ankle monitor on August 20th, 2020, according to officer in charge of crime management and investigation in Grand Bahama, Chief Superintendent Brian Roll. It was last tracked to a harbor in eastern New Providence. Police looked but never found it. On August 31st, 2020, a bench warrant was issued for Hanna. But this is the first that Our News is hearing about this bench warrant, despite examining the story back in October 2020. At that time, Supreme Court Deputy Registrar Edmund Turner informed us that Hanna was granted bail, but on July 24, 2020, his suretors told the court they no longer wished to vouch for him, and he was taken back into custody. At the time of speaking to Turner, it was his belief that Hanna was still in custody. However, then Commissioner of Corrections Charles Murphy confirmed to our news team that Hanna was released from custody by the courts on July 29th after new suretors signed his bail.
It's sad. I can't even describe how it is in this country when it comes to justice and injustices. It is really discouraging and disheartening.
This situation reveals a glaring inefficiency in the criminal justice system. While it is clear that some officers, mainly those in Grand Bahama, were aware of Hanna's breach of bail and were trying to draw attention to it, there was a lack of cohesion between the different entities responsible for tracking him down. The Supreme Court Deputy Registrar wasn't aware that Hanna was back out on bail, even though a bench warrant was issued for him. Police were apparently also unaware of the bench warrant up until now. That warrant gives them the authority to release a wanted flyer for him, something Darville's family hopes police in New Providence will now do. Grand Bahama police put out a wanted flyer for Hanna back in October 2020 anyway, but there was no word from police in New Providence where Hanna was residing and where his bail was breached. Interpol was also informed, but Hanna was put on the Blue Notice list, which is to collect additional information about a person's identity, location, or activities in relation to a crime. With a bench warrant, Hanna can be placed on Interpol's Red Notice, which is to seek the location and arrest of wanted persons wanted for prosecution or to serve a sentence. More answers may be trickling in now, but there's little comfort to Darville's grieving family.
You don't even know he's on the run. He has an ankle monitor. When did it stop? And then not only that, there's the ankle monitor, and then there is the signing in at the police station, I think 2 or 3 times a week. When was the last time he signed in? So all of this, y'all have these protocols in place so that no one can escape, but yet you have a young man who cannot be found who had an ankle monitor.
Darville left behind a daughter who is 11 now. Pushing for answers has been difficult for her cousin, and some days he feels like giving up, but he's motivated to continue when he thinks of his family pain.
When I think about my aunt and my cousin, her brother, and her sisters even, and her daughter, it kind of encourages me to keep on going because they deserve to see this guy behind bars. They deserve to see him caught, and they deserve to know why he did what he did.
A man was shot while playing a board game near a church in 8 Mile Rock on Saturday evening. Grand Bahama Police Press Liaison Officer ASP Stephen Roll says the incident took place in the Sapodilla Road, Hannah Hill area. When officers arrived on scene, they were informed that the man was taken to hospital via private vehicle where he was confirmed dead.
The initial investigation on the scene revealed that two males were in front of a church on Sapodilla Road, engaged in a game of backgammon, when they were approached by a lone gunman who have approached them, pointed a firearm in their direction, and shot one of the males to the chest area. The male then fled this area in the southern direction, making good his escape.
Rolls says the other man was uninjured.
At this time, the police are actively investigating this matter. I want to urge any persons who may have any information in regards to this matter tonight to contact the 8 Park Police Station or 911 or 919. Well, the second person at this time was uninjured, and he's assisting the police for this investigation.
Police in the capital are investigating a shooting death that took place on Comfort Street on Saturday night. According to reports, a man and woman were sitting in a vehicle outside their residence at around 6 p.m. when they heard the sound of gunshots. Moments later, the man realized he had been shot and was transported to hospital by a private vehicle where he later died. In a separate incident, hours later, police were called to Halifax Road, Stapleton Gardens, where a man was shot about his body. He was taken to hospital via private vehicle, where he is listed in critical condition. Initial investigations reveal that the victim was sitting outside a residence when he was approached by an unknown person who shot him several times. Investigations into that matter are ongoing. Meanwhile, in Abaco, police are investigating a shooting death that took place early Saturday morning. At around 4 a.m., officers found the lifeless body of a man with gunshot injuries on Crockett Drive, Marsh Harbor. The man's body was near a white Honda vehicle. The man was taken to the Marsh Harbor Clinic, where he was pronounced dead by a doctor.
Commissioner of Police Paul Roll promising a domestic violence hotline will soon be relaunched. He made the announcement on the heels of the killing of 21-year-old Heavenly Trevius, who was shot by her fiancé, who then killed himself last Saturday.
I want to say to the members of the public, Jared, we had a hotline. I am also going to be reactivating that hotline, that if persons know that they are in a situation they are afraid, I want them to call that number.
Some members of the public have been critical of how police have handled domestic violence incidents, saying officers are sometimes insensitive when dealing with the victims.
I'm going to send you out a release shortly to all of the media so that can be broadcast, and we want to make that available to persons. If you know that you're afraid, they need to get out of that situation, they need someone to talk to, they can call that number, and we'll have somebody 24 hours to answer that. We had that in place, and I just need to pull that up and make that available again. It's something that we need to continue to do, because we want to be in a position to help.
A 25-year-old man who pleaded guilty to pulling a 6-year-old boy into a bush and kissing him was given a 9-month sentence, sparking public outrage. Some Bahamians also feel the $500 restitution ordered for the boy's mother isn't nearly enough.
That's it. Who would do such a thing?
A 25-year-old man was jailed for 9 months this week after he admitted to kissing a 6-year-old boy. According to the Nassau Guardian, Shervin Colebrook pulled the boy into bushes and kissed him on the lips before he pushed his tongue into the child's mouth. Prosecutor Inspector Timothy Bain told the court.
I think that's wrong. I think that's inappropriate, and that's sending the wrong message, to the public, and giving criminals the idea that they can do anything and get away with it.
That woman is referring to the 9-month sentence handed out to the man. The incident happened on July 10th, 2020 in Black Village, while the child was attending a family function with his mother. Colebrook, a packer at John Shea Grocery, pleaded guilty to indecent assault prior to the start of his trial before Magistrate Samuel McKinney.
You know what she did with him? She has him on an island all by himself, surrounded by sharks. Okay? And let him try to escape.
Before passing sentence, McKinney told Colebrook that he committed a serious offense against a child that could impact his victim as an adult. McKinney told Colebrook that the charge carried a maximum sentence of 3 years. However, he cut the time because Colebrook pleaded guilty and has no prior convictions for sex matters. He also ordered Colebrook to pay $500 in restitution to the victim's mother, which is intended to cover future counseling for the child.
Who would do such a thing? You know? Who would think, well, kiss a young boy.
You putting them on bail, it ain't no consequences for their action, so they can keep doing it. You can send them to jail, and they can eat 3 meals a day, get bigger, so instead of grabbing 1 child, they can grab 3 now. So, it ain't making no sense.
Nowadays, with all of the violence going on, especially with the COVID situation and the economic situation, you're going to find that much more of these things is going to be happening. So I think the lawmakers need to go back to the books and do a revision of it. Because a lot of these crimes never used to be happening in the past. So this is a whole new era that we are living in.
Former Prime Minister Dr. Rupert Minnis says the country is facing an economic crisis as Bahamians are forced to bear the burden of an increase in prices.
I went into the supermarket the other day, and usually if I spend $100, I would walk out with 3 bags. I buy the same items, spend the same $100, and I'm walking out with 1 bag. So obviously, the purchase value of the dollar has decreased. So it's a pseudo type of devaluation. It's not devaluation, but the purchase value of the dollar has decreased.
Dr. Minnis said the country is also facing an education crisis after several teachers staged a sit-out last week over a myriad of concerns. Dr. Minnis says it will take serious commitment to address this issue.
We need serious commitment at all levels so as to save a generation. We need commitment from parents. We need commitment from teachers. We need commitment from the populace, Bahamian populace, and we need commitment at all political fronts because these are children who are in danger.
COVID testing at major resorts is a double-edged sword, according to the president of the Bahamas Hotel and Tourism Association, who says employers are still grappling with how to balance who pays for tests and how often. Christina Dragovich explains.
Sometimes when you test, the positive numbers go up because you're testing more, but that is very critical in terms of being able then to protect the environments in which they work, not only associates, but the guests that they're servicing.
BHTA President Robert Sands says while some employers require employees to be tested once every 10 days, some are cutting that time in half, mandating tests every 5 days. Then there's the issue of who pays for tests.
The question issue presents a mixed bag of methods that are being employed. Some hotels are absorbing the cost 100%. Some hotels are absorbing the cost for vaccinated persons and not absorbing the cost for unvaccinated persons.
Sands says the government's recently introduced free COVID testing pilot program on New Providence has helped to fill the gap for some who need to be tested on a regular basis but cannot afford private testing. Government has underscored the role testing will play in economic recovery and managing the COVID-19 pandemic. Sands agrees.
There was the old cliche that tourism is everybody's business. This COVID fight is everybody's business. And exercising personal responsibility is the way that we're going to beat this.
The Bahamas was recently bumped up to a level 4 on the United States Centers for Disease Control's travel advisory list, encouraging Americans to avoid travel to the Bahamas. Sands says everyone has a role to play to make the Bahamas a safer place.
Encourage everyone to get vaccinated, and if they're vaccinated, get boosted. I encourage everybody to observe the protocols, as onerous as they may appear.
Reporting for our news, I'm Christina Dragovich.
Still to come on our news, the police chief urges individuals to turn in family members with illegal guns. And later, our TV show Gumbay Kids wins big. That's coming up when our news returns. Welcome back. Commissioner of Police Paul Roll is urging members of the public to turn in family members who are illegally possessing firearms. Roll suggested that those family members could soon turn the gun on their loved ones, and he wants to prevent that.
I've said a few weeks ago that we know that your loved ones, we know that your sons have guns. And I'm asking, I'm going to make an appeal again. You know that your sons, you know that your boyfriend has a gun. I'm asking you to call us and let us know that he has a gun. If he doesn't want to turn the gun in, call us and let us know so that we can get it before he turns the gun on you. We have seen too many incidents of this. And then at the end of the day, you know, you're talking about a young life that has been lost.
The cast and crew of Gumbay Kids has something to dance about. The award-winning Our TV original show adds yet another set of awards to its growing list. Christina Dragovich tells us more.
Kudos going out to the Bahamian cast and crew of Gumbay Kids for its most recent awards from the Cannes World Film Festival. The show and producer Lanthro Monroe won Best Web TV Series, and show creator and producer Stephanie Neon won Best Producer for the show.
You know, it really is a type of show that I think makes you burst with national pride. And we're so proud to have such great partners and sponsors that help us, because we could not do it without them. Of course, Rev Cable Bahamas has given us the platform and supported us so much. And aside from like the Moby Group and LT Productions and people who have helped us make this, but the partners and the sponsors are incredible and a huge part of this.
Neon says the team has been overwhelmed by the support both locally and internationally.
I think everybody really believes in the vision. Everybody from the team, all of the cast. I mean, it definitely was a mammoth task, and we have to film in the summer when kids are out of school. So, you know, that comes with its challenges as well in a pandemic world. So the challenges, you know, that come with doing this and executing it, so, you know, to the degree you want to, is a big goal, and you know, to reach for. And
the All-Bahamian Island Adventure has taken members of the team beyond our shores. Neon says one of the main characters, Javian Rankin, has also landed a recurring role on the new Netflix series Mighty Express, set to premiere next month. The opportunities are endless.
We have our auditions coming out soon, so it's great to watch our Facebook page and Instagram page so that you can see those announcements. We will hold a virtual audition, and then we'll have callbacks in person, probably at Fusion. And then from there, we're going to roll into pre-production in season 4. And I can't really speak to what's going to happen just yet in it, but we're going, you know, bigger and better and exciting.
While she couldn't reveal too much about the upcoming storyline, Neon says there are possible roles for Bahamian businesses.
It's a great time to get involved in the season. You can actually be written into the season if you get in touch soon. We have different sponsor packages that your company can have product placement mentions. We can go to your establishment. We can interview someone from your company and raise awareness on whatever it is for the next generation.
Watch full episodes of past seasons on RTV Originals on Facebook. Reporting for our news, I'm Christina Dragovich.
Following years of negotiations, the Bahamas General Workers Union will now be the bargaining agent for non-managerial workers at the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute. According to Acting President Linda Sands, the documents were signed on December 1st, 2021.
This is a good day. It's a good day for the labor movement in our country, which is still strong and vibrant, and for workers' rights throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We are excited to be able to work with the management and the executives at BTVI. Firstly, to ensure outstanding issues are resolved. That has been a matter of concern for our members.
Sands said the process for an industrial agreement is already underway. She said workers have the right to assemble and receive a decent and fair wage. Shop steward Cindy Cox said employees at BTVI are happy to now have a voice.
This is a proud day for us, a very proud day. We believe that the General Workers Union, with them now, we have a voice. They are the voice for the voiceless. BTVI staff are looking forward to better working conditions between management and line staff. This is the first union for non-management workers to be galvanized under a semi-autonomous BTVI.
When our news comes back from the break, a church leader weighs in on the marijuana debate, and later, the fight to end food waste. We have the details when our news returns. Growing cannabis would be a separate entity if it were to be a part of Eden Farm's business plans, according to CFO Gilbert Kassar, who was asked about the possibility that the hydroponic specialists would pivot to cannabis if the opportunity presented itself.
Eden Acres is not involved with the cannabis industry whatsoever. It doesn't have any intentions of being involved with the medicinal cannabis industry. However, some of our shareholders, do have an interest, and so that probably, if explored, would be under a separate corporate structure and likely a separate branding.
Eden Farms recently linked up with 80 Acres to create a joint venture called Eden Acres. It plans to grow 2 million pounds of produce per year in an indoor hydroponic setup, with successive governments now indicating a willingness to legalize cannabis and the popularity of hydroponically grown cannabis. The stakeholders at Eden Acres will have something to think about.
Certainly, we do have at our avail, very advanced technology that has been proven to be able to successfully cultivate and grow medicinal marijuana. So as matters progress, it'll be more of a democracy decision that the stakeholders involved will have to make.
As the Davis administration continues to develop legislation to legalize the cannabis industry, Reverend Dean Harry Bain of Christ Church Cathedral says he agrees with Bahamas Christian Council President Bishop Dalton Fernander, who insisted that the group should be consulted before any major decisions are made.
Wide consultation on any major move on the part of the government is always a good thing, consulting the people, although we really elect them to make decisions on our behalf. But I think that for the deepening of democracy and the participation of people, there should be consultation.
Agriculture Minister Clay Sweeting said recently the Family Islands would be ideal to support the industry as they have a lot of land. Bain says he personally agrees with usage for medicinal purposes and expunging the records of individuals charged with possession of small amounts. However, he had different feelings about recreational use.
We get people to a greater level of discipline, and then maybe down the road we can consider recreational use of it. But again, in this whole business of the use of marijuana, education is important.
Still ahead, how Hands for Hunger is fighting food waste. That's coming up when we come back. Little to no food waste is what nonprofit food aid program Hands for Hunger is encouraging as it aims to increase food rescue in the coming year. Executive Director Keisha Ellis tells Our News that the pandemic has not been easy on the food rescue program, but outreach continues.
We hope to see an uptick in food rescue, and we're still working really hard on that. We're still hitting the pavement, contacting restaurants and hotels and seeing if they have any surplus food for us. So we don't want any food to go to waste at all.
According to the United Nations Environment Program, about 1/3 of food produced in the world each year is lost to waste. That's when good quality edible food is discarded. Ellis says while she hopes to see a turnaround in the amount of food waste, she also hopes that the organization can welcome back volunteers when it is safe to do so.
As we continue to watch the COVID-19 numbers, unfortunately, we haven't been able to really get back to our large-scale volunteer opportunities. We've had a few here and there, but we really hope that as we continue to be as safe as possible in the community, as we continue to wear our masks and get vaccinated, we can really open that up to having large groups come and volunteer with us more often.
In addition to the food rescue program, Hands for Hunger also operates a pantry that allows clients to make fresh food choices for their families. Thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Jared Higgs. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.